Hey guys, my name is Ryan and welcome to Overwatch Central. So when Doomfist was announced, one of the main things that people did instead of playing a hero for themselves is check out Tviq playing about 6 to 7 hours of the hero, and some content creators even went as far as like taking the footage, breaking it down, some of the interesting things that Tviq did. Well, we're actually not going to do that today. We're actually going to speak to the guy himself, talk about Doomfist as a hero, how to play him, any mistakes that people may make, and what he's going to do with the meta and the game currently. But let's get straight into it anyway, it's a big one. So, first and foremost, is Doomfist going to be worth playing, do you feel, from the experience that you've had with him? And why should people learn to play him, I suppose?
So I think, in my personal opinion, even though it's kind of like a limited time that I've played him, in a sense, is that I think he's really gonna... I don't necessarily think that he's gonna completely break up the dive meta, which is current meta, but I think that he will be like a really strong contender in an alternative, rather, which... could be like you could say that people are gonna play Doomfist because they don't really feel like they are all too great at dive, but they feel like they're like basically like a tank team, you could say, because it really revolves around a lot of teamwork, not necessarily like lots of like just pure aim skill or whatever, just kind of like what dive is. But it's a really like he's a really strong hero, but he's really vulnerable to like almost everything. Because like he's fairly easy to kill, he's a little bit slippery, but he's still fairly easy to kill, big hitbox and so on. But as long as he's getting protection, as long as he's getting help, I think that he could really like just break down a dive team. But of course that's gonna like require a lot of teamwork, a lot of coordination. So it's not gonna be as easy as it may sound.
You said that he'd break apart the meta somewhat, or not break it apart completely. What aspects do you think he's going to change, and who do you think that he would replace in some teams to either complement a dive that's happening or to be anti-dive himself? How do you think that's going to go about, and how do you think that's going to work?
Of course, from a pro point of view, I'd say that you could possibly play Doomfist in a 2-2 setup, you know, where you play 2 DPS and 2 tanks and so on. I think that would be not so viable maybe for ranked, because that will require the Doomfist to be really skilled and the rest of the team to like really play around the Doomfist like really properly. Not well, or maybe it won't be like that. The future, you know, still needs to be like set in stone and so on. But I think from like an overall perspective, from playing ranked to playing pro play, I think 3 tanks and Doomfist would probably be the easier version of Doomfist compositions that people will be able to do in ranked.
Do you think he'd bring back triple tank? Do you think that it's that viable? And you've also got to bear in mind that you have the likes of apparently Roadhog's being made more defensive, Reaper's back to an extent. Do you think that this is all going to come together as a form of anti-dive meta? I
think that with the triple tank, like why I would like make such a maybe big emphasis on triple tank is that he has enough damage, he has enough burst damage to be played in a triple tank without really being put in like a really vulnerable position, because like, you know, he has this right click, which is the Doomfist charging, don't actually know, rocket punch is called, yeah, rocket punch.
Yeah.
He just like you really need to be really aware of the like ability cooldown, as it's only 4 seconds. Like if you do a bad dive, like if you do it like just half in, he's probably gonna punish it really hard by just getting one insta kill. And we all know that dive as a 5 players is like extremely weak compared to 6. Like it makes such a huge difference, which is why I think Doomfist is gonna be like really good in a 3 tank setup. Basically, you just need to be able to buy time and survive for the Doomfist to do work.
So that kind of goes on to what I was about to ask, like, is that Doomfist's role within a team? Because whilst, yeah, he has an ability that can kind of one-shot to an extent, consistently, I don't think he does as much damage as, say, a Genji, a Tracer, even, well, certainly a Soldier. But, like, is it a similar thing to how we're seeing Sombra just being a way to pick apart a team that's trying to dive you as a unit? Or do you feel like there's a little bit more to Doomfist's playstyle than punch stuff?
No, I basically think that's gonna be it for his sort of playstyle, where he would just he doesn't have spam. Like his left click is not good for spamming. It's a fairly mid-range-ish ability. Even then, it's like still fairly hard to hit. Like it's, at least for now, my like initial impression of it is like it's kind of awkward to use in a sense, but well, compared to Genji, compared to Soldier, like anyone who has really any sort of spam, he just raw damage basically. He doesn't really add up. He's basically just like burst damage, insta kill. Yeah.
A lot of people saying that he might be a bit overpowered currently, especially with his rocket punch. Do you think that's the case? Do you think that he's OP, or do you think that he's fairly balanced considering he's just come out?
I think it's too early to say, honestly. But it's like, well, there's been so many like heroes that have been like ridiculously overpowered. I'm not exactly sure if he's gonna be really that overpowered, because like he has this like what's it called, window of opportunity to be killed basically, where he doesn't have any cooldowns, and he won't really kill anyone with his left click, which is doesn't do that much damage, and it's not necessarily like as good as a Tracer left click, or a Genji, for even Genji for that matter. It's just that it's like the window of opportunity is huge, and like as I said, like each hero needs like their own niche thing, which is like what they are really good at. And Doomfist is his abilities is doing so much damage. Burst damage for that matter. While a Tracer has like also really high burst damage, but it's like requires a little bit more skill, maybe, in a sense, to like be able to abuse that sort of burst damage.
Sure, and I guess that's the drawback, is you have this hero that can put out a lot of burst damage. The drawback on that is consistently he can't put out a lot of damage unless he's risking himself by throwing himself into backlines, into the enemy, fighting close and personal.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, we have seen heroes like Reaper come back to an extent, and that playstyle is fairly similar with getting into your faces. Roadhog's been nerfed, people got very upset about that. Do you think that's the kind of thing that's been making ranked competitive feel a bit stale? That there isn't these other options of, instead of just having a high mobility hero that requires good aim, you have these really aggressive heroes that like to get in the face of the enemy and do a lot of damage up close. Do you feel that Doomfist is going to, in inverted commas, fix people's opinions on competitive play so it doesn't feel as stale as it does currently?
Not so sure about that, but I will definitely say, like, in the beginning of weeks, there's gonna be a lot of people like just trying out triple tank with a Doomfist, because it's like, let's say like it's an easy composition. So I think as long as you have a somewhat decent Doomfist,
what would the tank combination be? Because I'm guessing Roadhog wouldn't be in it.
No. Roadhog, I don't think Roadhog would ever like be in it, because then you would switch out to Doomfist, because it doesn't really make sense to run Doomfist with him. But you could say that it's like, I would think it would be Monkey, Diva, and Zarya. Zarya could maybe be switched out for something else, being like another DPS instead. But I definitely think that the Zarya is almost like a needed pick to like discourage the enemy team to just like try to dive onto you, because the Zarya is gonna be high charge like all the time. Like, she's always gonna be high charge unless the enemy team is like stupidly good to not shoot at shields.
So in short, do you feel that Doomfist is actually gonna kill off this dive meta?
I don't think that it's gonna kill it off completely. I think that you will still be able to play dive, but you will need to be like better than the enemy team or really good at dive. So like, if you would say maybe for example United or Rogue, because they are like the sort of like people really look into to be the sort of dive teams. But maybe for ranked, maybe dive will die off completely.
When it comes to certain heroes being underpowered, some heroes being overpowered, do you feel that there's anything there that stand out that is the reason why people are feeling so frustrated? There's a lot of mitigating factors as to why, but certainly looking at the big Jeff Kaplan post that we saw, and you commented on yourself, is there anything that stand out that you feel that Blizzard need to particularly be looking at? Or is it just kind of, the game's been out a while and people just want to see something fresh, maybe? I don't know.
I honestly think it's just that people are like, they just think that things should be changing and Blizzard should be the ones that changing it, which isn't all too true. Like, you can't just like change the fairly balanced game into like a mess just because you want to change up the meta. Is that sense. People are just tired of the meta, that it has come to this, that it's just like one type of composition that is being played everywhere, and everyone's really tired of it. And there's like a lot of basically like one tricks in a sense, not exactly like one trick each like a Hanzo main, but it's just that a lot of one tricks
mains are more prevalent, aren't they? Because Diva and Winston and all of these other heroes, especially Genji and Tracer, that people like to play anyway, are very good right now. So like those players have been rewarded spending a lot of time on them.
No, yeah, exactly. That was what it's gonna get at. It's just that like people just want like a change, and maybe like in honestly, I just think that they're like trying to reach any sort of like corner to like really get a change.
Do you feel that there should be one, or are you quite happy with how things are currently?
I mean,
we have got a new hero coming as well, so it's not.
In honestly, like I've been saying like for a really long time, the only way for this game to really improve in terms of like balance, really, because the game really is like fairly balanced, but to really like balance it even further would be adding more heroes. And I think more heroes, like the heroes should be coming in faster than what they are currently.
So you think that the perfect thing for Blizzard to do right now is to release a hero like Doomfist? Came at a really good time.
Yeah, basically. I just think the major problem is like rewarding rewarding the players who play the off-meta heroes. In that sense, like let's say like the extreme ones, Junkrat and Hanzo, like because there's so many like there's so many lower skilled people like Bronze, for example, that's like playing these heroes in ranked, and they're not, not doing awfully well. But then once you do like play them in a Grandmaster, a top 500, and you do like really well with them, you gain like a stupid high amount of SR. And I don't think it should be like that. I don't think you should be like highly rewarded for playing an off-meta hero really good. Of course, I think you should be rewarded in some sense, maybe, but it should be like you should be rewarded in that sense that you won the game, not because the hero that you played.
Sort of going back to Doomfist for a bit as well, we've sort of spoken how he's going to affect the game a lot. With the amount of time that you've played him, and you've played against other pros that were played Doomfist against you, with all of these new players wanting to gravitate towards him and to play him and maybe even one-trick him, who knows, what do you feel that the major flaws and mistakes are going to be when it comes to people that are playing him? Like, what do you really want to say that, like, don't do this? If you're going to play Doomfist, do not do this.
Try to use his rocket punch to get to the backline, and then just try to kill everyone with your abilities, basically. Like, just try to go ham with Doomfist. Like, that just won't work.
Because he's so cooldown dependent that if you use everything, you've got nothing.
Exactly. And you're gonna be stuck there in the backline trying to kill them. Because in current state of the Doomfist, his shields doesn't actually do all too much. They do a little bit to avoid a little bit of spam, but that would be it, basically. His shield doesn't actually do much outside of his ultimate. It's only his ultimate actually currently that gives him like a large amount of shields to really be said that now I can actually go ham on people and then like start fragging out.
Yeah, if you were to hesitate a guess of in a month's time, what do you think that the community's outcry is going to be? Do you feel like it's going to be he's overpowered, he's underpowered, he's perfect, like he's so good for the game right now? I know obviously like it's too soon to say a lot of things, but I imagine when Arisa came out there would have been a lot of, yeah, she's not going to get used because like she doesn't really complement or deter or anything, she's just there. What do you feel Doomfist is going to do for the game in a month's time or in 2 months' time?
I think people are gonna be complaining about Doomfist like they are complaining about Roadhog, that he just one-shots you out of nowhere, basically. I think that would be the biggest complaint in a month's time.
Do you think that'd be something that Blizzard would change? Because Jeff Kaplan said he didn't like the one-shot ability factor of Roadhog, and I mean, then adds a hero that has one-shot ability as well, so... Or do you feel that because so much around Doomfist's character is based on that punch and doing that burst damage there, that getting rid of that would do what it's done to Roadhog?
I don't think that his sort of playstyle, or let's say mechanics, would be changed necessarily. I think it would be a really, really long while before that even gets changed, if it were to be changed. But I just think in a month's time from now, people are just gonna be crying about that because they don't necessarily know how to avoid it, like really like what to look for in like trying to push a Doomfist or like trying to defend yourself from a Doomfist, everyone is just gonna be basically complaining about that. I'm getting one shot by his right click and this is not fair. This is basically Roadhog all over again, which it really isn't, but this is what I think people are like gonna be the biggest complaint about Doomfist.
So let's say that you're playing Doomfist now, you're attacking King's Row. How do you go about like your workflow? Like, what is it that you're trying to do? Are you trying to sort of dive the back line to deal with the supports? Like, what do you want to do? How are you going to go about it? Like, what abilities are you going to use to maybe travel to the back line or anything like that? And realistically, like, what can you achieve with Doomfist?
Achieving with Doomfist is like, you've really got to like take ground first. Like everything, you need space to be able to do things. So you will be needing to like starting to walk forward. Like let's say you're attacking, so you need to be start walking forward, like play around the statue area to see if you can, if you're playing the triple tank, see if your monkey could be jumping up on the clock tower, like let him be there, wait for his next jump, see if he can scout out some information or like make a reaction of sort where they would start like walking through the lobby. And then always be like keeping your eye on the lobby as a Doomfist to like see if you can get the insta kill in that lobby area. Of course, maybe like people won't maybe react to it, or maybe they will like see through it, like that the monkey is basically just a distraction. Don't look at him. Don't do much about him. We just try to spam him out of his position, basically.
All of Doomfist's abilities are hypermobility, really, and we kind of went over the mistake of just jumping into the back line, using uppercut, using the slam, using the punch, and you have nothing then. What abilities are you using for engaging, and what abilities are you also going to use to disengage? Because you said that you don't want to be using the rocket punch to engage particularly, so does that mean you're uppercutting the slam into the back line, getting a punch off, trying to survive for a bit, uppercutting, slamming out? Almost like you're playing Winston, like diving in, doing a bit of damage, diving out.
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily recommend using the rocket punch to like exactly engage, unless you see an opportunity to get that insta gib, or that your monkey has like gone in on the enemy team and you see an opportunity to get like a really good just right click in and see like you basically try to take it from there. But I would much rather see that like you play a little bit more passive to see if you can play reactively with your rocket punch. But if you really want to engage, I would really recommend to either try to abuse this, like jump off this high ground using E to just jump forward, because then your slam is gonna be like doing a lot of damage, because the more you travel, the more damage it does. So either using that technique or just using an uppercut to basically get yourself up in the air, scout out like where are people positioning, who can I kill now while I'm still in the air. Then just using your slam to fly towards them, and then using your rocket punch to basically just finish off the kill and wait for your cooldowns to come back, and then basically repeat.
Do you feel like, sort of closing everything off, is there anything that you really want to emphasize or highlight that we've spoken about before? Any other tips and abilities that you feel that you haven't gone over yet? Generally, what do you think people need to know when it comes to picking up this hero, and especially playing it in competitive?
I think that people should not be afraid of using his ultimate to escape. His ultimate charges fairly quickly, and you should really not be afraid if you ever get caught to basically just use the ultimate to get out, and then just basically reset. Maybe not even use the ultimate to try to kill someone and save the situation, but just get out with it. Generally, people shouldn't be playing like or looking at Doomfist as the type of dive hero, really, because he's like, he can't actually like play that dive. It would be, well, he of course maybe he can, but I don't.
Because he's using so much, he's using so many abilities just to get there as well.
And he can't get out like straight afterwards like a Tracer recall or Genji just like reset dash. It's just that he's like, if you want to play dive with Doomfist, he's all in, and there's no like getting out again. You need to commit everything to that, and that's like a really unsafe type of dive, which is like why people aren't really playing Reaper in these dives, even though you always see monkeys. But you can't really play Reaper, because once they commit on you, you can't get out, and you can't really commit on them, because if you completely committed, you can't get the Reaper out again. So it's like I don't think that you necessarily want to play Reaper, no, not Reaper, Doomfist in a dive scenario. Of course, I think that you can, but I don't necessarily think that his
that's
his
no way
role,
he's going to benefit. With being anti-dive then, would you say he's quite a peely sort of hero? So let's say we're defending on Numbani, Anna's in her usual spot. Would the Doomfist be stood with her just in case she gets dived, or is he going to be stood on the high ground with where everybody else usually is by the main walkway?
I think he's gonna be like the #1 peeling hero. Like I even think that he's almost gonna be like more peeling than a Lucio, for an example. Of course, different kits, different type of peeling, and so on. But everything will come down to how well you can survive, how well you can protect your Doomfist while he's doing work.
Okay, so he's much more of a conservative hero, you feel? That he's almost like a defense hero as opposed to an offense hero, because he is not going to be jumping in like Genji's and Tracers. He's actually going to be quite reserved and sat back and sat with the supports and the hub of your team. Do you feel like it's going to bring Deathball back by any chance as well?
Oh yeah. Deathball is gonna be like the best choice to go with the Doomfist, because you can't stop. Like if you stop, then he's probably gonna get like an uneven type of cooldowns, like an offset of cooldowns rather. It's just not gonna be able to properly abuse his cooldowns to maximum, to deal the maximum amount of the damage that's needed in a triple tank scenario.
With other heroes dipping in and out of the, in inverted commas, meta, saying Deathball there, what heroes do you think the Doomfist could bring back with him, or even knock some heroes out? Because he's fairly strong against D.Va, but saying Deathball reminded me, is it going to bring Anna back to an extent? Is it going to bring Reinhardt back to an extent? Do you feel that his just addition to the game is actually going to bring some heroes up and down in popularity, and if so, who?
I really think it will come down to how each team decides to react to it, and how they perceive to be the best counter towards playing against the Doomfist. I think that if people try to go away from this full dive compositions that people play now, I think that Reinhardt might just very well see a comeback, at least with the team, on the team with the Doomfist. Maybe not against Doomfist, because I don't know, it makes really weird interaction between Doomfist and a Reinhardt. But playing a Reinhardt with your Doomfist might see some play, just because Reinhardt is not all too great versus dive and so on, but he's really great when the enemy team plays a really slow composition, and you basically just shoot at his shield for a period of time, because they need to get that down before they engage and so on. I think that Anna might just come back if we see D.Va go away completely, which I don't exactly see happening. But I can definitely see Anna happening with the triple tank, because you might not have enough healing, because you don't have enough shields to really keep everyone alive. But that's really still a little bit too early to say, I'd say.
Okay, and I imagine when Doomfist comes out in competitive, you're probably playing him on the PTR, but where can people see the stuff that you're doing? And also, do you have any final tips, any final mentions when it comes to playing Doomfist? But mostly, where can people find you, Tviq?
Mostly just playing Doomfist, just learning to use his cooldowns to the best of your abilities, really. Just not trying to overdo it all the time with his abilities. And you can find me over on Twitter on Misfits Tviq. You can find me on Twitch at Tviq, and you can find my YouTube as well on Tviq. And
you're playing in the World Cup as well. Where can people maybe see you play?
Oh yeah, I'm playing for Team Sweden in World Cup in Australia. The 21st is the event starting. Yeah.
And that's it for this time. Thank you very much for watching. Big shout out to Tviq. You should definitely check him out. He does some incredible stuff. He's an amazing player, and he's worth watching for streams as well for a good laugh, so do check him out. And if you want more videos kind of like this, a bit like a Masters Guide, but also going over some other things as well, do let us know below and who we should talk to. And until next time, take care. We'll see you then.